What's up, losers? Today I'm back with some more r/fatlogic fun. Checking out a few wacky posts. And trying to make as much sense of them as I can. This is episode 71 in the fatlogic series. And I'm sure I've got some high-level silliness waiting for me in this one. So without further ado, let's get into it.
I think thin women have an envy for fat women who are not trying to be thin. They spend so much time trying and fearing fat that they hate we aren't doing the same.
Oh my god, the projection, it's too much. Who on earth do they think they're kidding with this nonsense LMAO? The fact that these fat activists can complain, day in, day out, about how hard it is to be fat, how thin people have it so much better, how thin privilege is an actual thing that we should all care about, and how fat people deserve to be given this and that and whatever else they can think of on any given day. Yet still turn around in a post like this and act like thin people are the envious ones is utterly laughable. Thin people do not envy fat people, because if they did, they wouldn't be thin now, would they? Believe it or not, it isn't that hard to get fat. Because unlike losing weight, putting it on doesn't really require any planning or discipline. You just stuff yourself with calorically dense junk food at any available opportunity, and you're basically there. Easy peasy. So let's not act like you're doing something by being fat, other than wrecking your own health, I guess. Also, I'm getting really tired of all these posts which suggest that thin people have to spend all their time trying to be thin, as if it's a full-time job, or something. Like, some people might have more difficulty sustaining a healthy weight than others. And some people might have more ambitious exercise goals that require extra time investment. But in general, a normal weight can be maintained with very minimal time or physical exertion being devoted to it. Because, surprise surprise, eating less is not all that complicated. It just requires a little self-control. If we're being real, the amount of time that these fat activists spend whining and manufacturing drama on social media is probably much greater than the amount that the average thin person spends trying to maintain their body size. So maybe instead of making constant excuses, moaning, and writing these pathetic fanfics, where they're the cool ones, and everyone is jealous of them, fat activists should try actually listening to thin people, and emulating the diet and exercise habits that have allowed them to exist at a healthy weight for a prolonged period of time, without having to run a marathon a day or prepare dozens of acai bowls to do it. But who am I kidding? None of that is going to happen. Living in denial is so much easier. After all, size. Moving on.
I just read, Bones, Anorexia, OCD, and me. While I understand the struggles you went through, you need to acknowledge that you have privilege as a thin anorexic. Overweight anorexics fight to get the care they need, and you perpetuate the stereotype that you have to be skinny or undereat to be anorexic. Your story could trigger anyone who has never lost their period, overexercised, or experienced other textbook behaviors.
Jesus Christ, my blood is just boiling right now. The freaking audacity of this post. Infuriating doesn't even begin to describe it. I could legit punch something. I can accept the logic in opening up anorexia diagnosis to people who are not underweight. Because if the signs and habits are there, it makes sense to be proactive in treating them, rather than waiting around until the person is sufficiently skinny to do anything about it. But it's becoming increasingly obvious that doing this has enabled a bunch of unscrupulous characters who are just fat and don't even have anorexia to utilize the condition as a way of making everything, once again, all about them, and it just makes me sick. If this person is overweight, doesn't undereat, has never overexercised, and has not experienced the quote-unquote textbook behaviors associated with anorexia, then I'm sorry, I don't see how they can possibly be suffering from the disorder. Those so-called textbook behaviors are the condition. Anorexia is not just some fancy label with no meaning that anyone can slap on themselves because they take a liking to it. It's a diagnosis that is given in response to very specific behavioral patterns and the symptoms that accompany them. These are not stereotypes, they are anorexia, and if you have absolutely nothing in common with the overwhelming majority of anorexics who experience them, then maybe it's worth considering whether that diagnosis makes any sense when applied to you at all. Spoiler alert, the answer is probably no. By far the worst part of this post, which is honestly a complete shit show from bell to bell, is the part where they accuse the person of having privilege as a thin anorexic, and attack them for perpetuating stereotypes by sharing their story, like this is someone who has starved themselves to the point that it put them in real physical danger. The condition wrought absolute havoc on their body and mind, and they are trying to share their story, presumably because they think that it could be helpful to others going through something similar. Yet this damn poster has the nerve to tell them that they are privileged. Excuse me, where is the fricking privilege? Are the anorexics who die emaciated in a hospital bed privileged too? Are the real victims in those situations the fat people who have to deal with these deaths, perpetuating the stereotype that anorexics are skinny? Get the frick out of here, man. I'm so done with these people. Is there anything that these giant babies won't make about themselves? Good lord, it's exhausting. I'm going to move on now, because talking about this any longer is only going to aggravate me more. But yeah, this post is honestly just shameful. That's it.
No, because let's talk about this caption. Because when I see something online I like, it's sold out in my size. While M&S still sitting in.
Literally, bestie, these companies are all fatphobic. So if they don't want to sell us our actual size clothes, we're gonna wear the heck out of that XS.
Something a little lighter to close things out. How nice. Yeah, I'm inclined to think that these companies are not fatphobic, and that this is just the usual fat acceptance persecution complex rearing its head once more. Most companies are mainly just interested in making money. And if you think about it, if they were genuinely trying to deprive fat people of clothing, they probably wouldn't stock plus-size clothes at all. So yeah, I'm not convinced that the logic here checks out. It's almost certainly just a perfectly normal case of getting unlucky, and having the clothes in your size snapped up before you can get your hands on them. Though skyrocketing obesity rates may have something to do with it too, haha. For what it's worth, I am much more towards the lower end of the size spectrum. And I very frequently find myself unable to find clothes that fit me properly. At this point I've just gotten used to wearing oversized clothes. And probably more than half of the clothes I own are at least one size above what I would generally wear. But I don't think that this is evidence of an anti-thin conspiracy or something. I just figure that it's hard to stock the perfect number of each size when there is such a large range of different sizes in the population today. And you never know who's going to walk through your doors or hop on your website. But who knows? Maybe I'm just naive for not seeing the sinister machinations that are truly at play. As a final note, I'm guessing that the person who says that they would wear the XS is joking. Because I don't know if it's physically possible for someone that large to put XS clothes on. But either way, it got a chuckle out of me. They've got a sense of humor. I'll give them that. If nothing else, haha. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the posts and my commentary. Even if I did lose my cool a bit at the second one, haha. What do you think? Are thin women envious of fat women? Do thin anorexics need to acknowledge their privilege? Would you wear the heck outer XS clothes, even if you were obese? Let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll replace all of your clothes with ones that are 3 sizes too small. And you'll be forced to go out in public looking like an overinflated blow-up doll. Just kidding, haha. Anyway, catch you later.